Hello all, hungry developers, thanks for coming. Thanks PHP Serbia for having me here. I'm really happy to and proud to be able to talk on this conference. I find it very important because we didn't have much chance to talk about testing, especially in PHP in Serbia. It was like an abandoned subject. And I hope after this conference, many people will start paying attention and try these tools that all the guys today showed. So it's really, really great. Before starting today's topic, I will take a minute to present myself and the company I work for. So I'm Sasha. I tweet here, so if you don't see the slides correctly, find them on Twitter. I just shared the slides, so you can follow on your smartphones. I'm a PHP developer working mainly with Symfony framework. I love open source, and I work for this awesome company called KNP Labs, which is a Symfony 2 agency. We have developers all around the world, from Ukraine, Poland, Germany, France. I'm the only one from Serbia, unfortunately, but we are looking for the new developers. So if you are a Symfony expert and you love Behat Git, feel free to speak to me or contact us via our website. So the idea behind KNP Labs is we are not waiting for great developers to come to our office and work with us. We learn to work with them remotely. So we are working from our homes. If we have more developers, we open an office in the city and we work together. And if you have no Symfony skills, we have this awesome website called KNP University. You can find many interesting PHP tutorials there. A lot of Symfony tutorials, Behat, and other interesting stuff. So feel free to look around the website. And we also provide professional training for Symfony, Behat, BDD, and Cilius open source e-commerce platform. So we come to people offices and train their teams, train Symfony, Behat, and other tools. All the information is under the website. I will not talk about that anymore. I will focus on the subject for today. So it's story BDD with Behat. Today, many speakers talked about test-driven development. We'll talk about something similar. It's BDD, so let's try to focus on this word in the title, the BDD, what it is, what BDD actually is. It's beer-driven development. Many of you probably tried it, I hope. Anyone tried beer-driven development? Okay, not bad. You other guys don't know what you're missing. Of course, it was a joke. It's behavior-driven development. Yeah, beer-driven development is more fun, but let's talk about behavior. And instead, putting there a Wikipedia definition for behavior-driven development, get bored before the lunch, I will start to talk about the problem that behavior-driven development is trying to solve. And the problem is really common. I guess everyone working in the software industry already faced with this problem. And there is an awesome cartoon. Most of you probably already see this one. It's about the customer and the developer. So the first picture is how the customer explained what he wants. And it looks interesting, right? Then the second one is how the project leader understood the customer. The next one, how the programmer wrote it. Not very usable, right? And one of the favorites, what the beta testers received. Okay? And finally, what customer really needed. It's simple. So this is the problem, because all of these people are speaking different languages, right? And BDD is trying to give the solution for all of these people that come from different areas to communicate easier. And the idea is to force these people to use the same vocabulary. You have project managers, developers, product owners, testers, and they come from the different background. They use different terms for the same thing, and there is often a big misunderstanding about many things. So when they're planning and implementing features, they need something that will help them to better understand each other's. Okay? So story BDD ensures that the developer team understand the business needs of their client. And it's even better if this workflow helps client to better understand his own business needs. But how to achieve this? It's pretty simple and it's worked like magic. So the idea is to ask yourself three simple questions. The first question is, who benefits from the feature you're about to implement? Okay, who is that person? Is it your client? Is it the website visitor? Is it the admin guy? Or I don't know. So the first question is, who benefits from the feature you're about to implement? The second question is, what is the business value of the feature you're working on? And the third and final question is to describe how this feature actually works. So you're trying to answer these three simple questions. And when you ask yourself these three questions, probably every one of you would express himself differently. They come up with a standard language called Gherkin to describe features. This is the language, and it's not particularly reserved to PHP only. It's kind of standard. You have same thing in Ruby world, Java, or whatever language. And this is the example of feature description in Gherkin. So I guess everybody can read this if you know English, right? Your mom probably can read it. So it's news admin panel. This is the feature title. So it starts with a simple feature title, and it says, what is the business value of the feature we're about to implement? The feature value is maintaining a list of news. The question, who benefits from this feature? Site administrator benefits. And the last question is, what is this feature and how I want to achieve maintaining a list of news? I will achieve it by editing, allowing admin to edit the news. So it follows this simple Gherkin format in order to do something as a role, the person who benefits. I need to do this, do that. So this is the format. And after that, we are adding scenarios. This is actually a usage examples. So the example in human readable language that describe how do we use our software. And in this example, we say the scenario is adding a simple new article, and it's always in format of given, when, and then. You are always following this sequence. And in given, we are setting the world. We are playing God and say, okay, given I'm on this page, or you can say, if you are developing, for example, an e-commerce website, I can say, given I have these products in database, given I am logged in as a system admin or whatever. So you can do whatever you want there to set up the world. You're playing God and setting things that you actually need to describe a scenario. After given, the user who benefits from this feature, the administrator, takes some action. So when this user clicks new article and fill title field with learn BDD and press save, so I just described the actions that this user takes in order to describe the functionality. If you have multiple lines, you're connecting them with and or but keywords. So you can have multiple lines. These lines are in BDD terminology called steps. So steps that admin needs to take. And finally, I am setting the expectation with then. So I'm expecting, after pressing the save, to see a new article was added. It's usually some flash message. So this is the example of how you describe feature in Gherkin. This is the format, given, when, and then. So we have a Gherkin, a language that will help us to communicate. It's something, right? Okay, now the tool. The Behat is the tool that is initially sponsored by KMP Labs. The guy from KMP Labs called Konstantin started to work on this, and it's still under development. There is a 3.0 version recently released. And what Behat does is actually maps the Gherkin sentences into PHP callbacks. Nothing more. Really, really simple tool that just maps it. You can install it like any other PHP library using Composer. Just add it to your Composer JSON file as a dependency. And after you install it, you will get the binary bin Behat, and you can run it from your command line. And after installing, if you want to try it at home after you hear about today, you will just need to run Behat init, and it will do 3 simple things. A minimum amount of work needed to set up Behat and get it running. The first thing is it will create a features directory when you store your feature files. So the Gherkin syntax we described, you just store these text files with feature extension inside your feature directory. It's a convention, so Behat will find these feature files, execute them, and just map Gherkin sentences to your feature context PHP file, which is also generated by Behat init. And optional configuration, you don't need to bother at this point with this. As an example of working with Behat, let's go back in past and pretend that Linus come to us and say, okay, show me how this BDD is cool and describe me the ls command. Okay, here is how we would describe the ls command. You probably all use terminal and list directory structure. So the feature title is ls, as simple as that. And the business value is seeing the directory structure. So in order to see directory structure, and the person who benefits from this feature is a Unix user, right? So as a Unix user, I need to be able to list directories content. And we store this inside feature ls feature file. And then the usage example, the simplest one that comes to my mind is if you have 2 files in a directory, when you type ls, hit enter, you should see these 2 files listed. And here's the Gherkin. Scenario is listing 2 files, and given I have a file named foo, and I have a file named bar, when I take action and run ls command, I should see the foo in the output, and I should see the bar in the output. Enough of talk, we can just now go to terminal and try this out. I have these Composer JSON dependencies. For now, only Behat. I need only Behat, so you just run install and you get inside a bin directory the Behat executable. And after running init, you will get the features directory generated with empty feature context file. And if you go to terminal and run bin Behat, sorry, I have some other features for later, but I will say features ls. This is the file I prepared from the slides, which actually copy-pasted the feature that I just had in slides, so listing 2 files. And when I run it, the Behat will be so nice to print out the yellow, the lines that are missing the PHP callbacks. And it says that there are 5 undefined steps. Oh, Serbian. And it prints out the callbacks that I can copy and paste inside my feature context file and get them running. So I will just copy this and paste inside my feature context. Okay, so if you see this code, you will notice that these sentences from feature files are mapped into a PHP callback with this given when and then annotations. And auto-generated methods with pending exception, which means we need to actually implement these callbacks in order to get it working. If I run it again, it will just skip these 4 steps because they are not implemented. And to get started, I will just rename these arguments to have sense. In this case, I have a file named arg1. I can rename that to file name or whatever makes sense. And inside, I will actually need to create this file. So I'm playing God and I'm setting the file. So when in Gherkin, when I say I have a file named foo, I need to actually create it. So I'm using PHP touch method to create this file. Okay? So I just created it. And I do this for each auto-generated method. I run a command. I will use shell exec to run a command. Hard to type. Okay, I'm running a command. So in Gherkin, when I say I run this command, it will actually run it. And the last one, I should see something in the output. So I will need this text in the output. So in order to assert this, I will just create a private property to store the output of the command. So I say private output, and then just save it here. So this output equals shell exec, and then here I can say if hashtag this output, and the needle is text. So if I don't find it, I will just throw exception. Okay? So now if I run it, it fails with some, okay, typo. Thanks. I should see bar, but I don't see it. Let's see why. Okay, false. So if it is false, then I didn't find it. Now it's green. Okay, so as you can see, with a little effort, I can write Gherkin sentences and actually implement code that will help me to test the behavior. But the real power is not about testing the expectation, but about describing features. Because imagine that you're a new guy in project and you're joining. Just by reading these scenarios, you can actually get an idea about what this software actually does. Okay? So it serves also as a documentation. And of course, it prevents regression and stuff like that. So there are a lot of benefits of using such tool. So far, we can map each step to a PHP callback, but we are web developers, we build web applications. So we need more, right? Someone already mentioned the Mink library, I think Sebastian did. It's an awesome library which actually serves as a browser emulator. So you can use Mink to command a browser from your PHP code. Okay? So everything that you can do with your browser by clicking and navigating, you can do with Mink from PHP code. And there are different drivers you can use to command the browser. Good, Selenium, Zombie.js. it's your choice. And here's the example usage. So you just need to instantiate the session object with a desired driver, and you can click links, reload pages, fill fields, submit forms, and stuff like that. So everything that you can do within a browser tab, you can do with session object. So session object represents your browser tab, but you have a power to do it from your PHP code. Imagine now that we have this power inside a feature context class. So if we can get session object inside a feature context class, that means we can command the browser and map Gherkin with Behat to PHP callbacks, and then use Mink to command the browser. That way, we can actually describe the behavior of web applications. And there is more. In order to make it easier to use this session object, inside feature context class, there is a Mink extension, which actually provides some APIs to easily get ready-to-use session object. You just need to extend your dependencies with not only Behat, but also a Mink extension and drivers you plan to use for describing your application. And it looks like this. You're extending a raw Mink context. And you just said, this get session and do whatever you want. Okay? So this is already provided inside raw Mink context class. And not only that, but there is also a Mink context which provides predefined steps for visiting a page, selecting options, pressing buttons, filling fields, all that inside your feature context class. And that gives the significant amount of power. So currently, if I run bin Behat DL, which is the definition list, the steps that we already have defined, I will see these 3 steps that I defined for the ls command. But if I remove that, I will have nothing. But let's just tweak our code and say, I don't want to extend to raw Mink context, but just the Mink context. And if I open this class, you will see that there are many, many steps already ready to use. And if I run definition list again, I will get a number of these steps that I can use, which means that now I can describe my web applications without writing a single line of PHP code, because I can already click buttons and submit forms just by writing Gherkin sentences. And that's great. Okay? And I wanted to present an example of testing the application that already exists, the Wikipedia, you already know that. I mean, in the real world, when you are working on your application, the workflow goes, you write user stories first, you discuss them with your client, or in perfect world, your client will write user stories. Because if you look at these user stories, they look similar like something that you have in your issue tracker, in Jira, on Trello, or whatever you're using. But the truth is that everybody writes user stories in their own fashion. But when you're using Behat, everybody will use similar terminology. We are doing things a little opposite way because we are describing the application, the behavior of the application that already exists, because we don't have time now to develop a new application. So here is the description for Wikipedia search feature. So in order to find articles as a website visitor, I need to be able to search for articles. And the scenario is simple. I just go to the home page, fill in the search field with BDD, press go, I follow this link, and I should see this text. So here's the scenario I just described. I have it here, and I will try to run it now, so fingers crossed. Features, Wikipedia feature. So since I have installed the Mink, it should go now on Wikipedia and really do the test. And this was quick and ugly, but it really did. It really go to Wikipedia. And in order to assure that it really did, I can enable the Selenium. So if you look at the Behat config, I have defined several sessions here. The default session, we use Gut. Gut is just a simple HTTP client, but I can also use Selenium, and I use it for JavaScript session. In order to enable that in my feature file, I just need to add this annotation. So JavaScript. Now, it knows that it needs to use a Selenium driver, and it will actually pop up a real browser. And you can just watch your test passing with the real browser. It's really cool. And if you have a website that uses a lot of JavaScript and Ajax calls, you will need to enable this in order to have the proper behavior, because with Gut, JavaScript will not be interpreted at all. So you need to use Selenium. And that will be pretty much it about Behat. It's really useful for various things. We use it, it's used widely in open source. I work on Celius e-commerce platform, and we use Behat for describing scenarios, and it worked out flawlessly. I know other projects also use it, Akineo and many of them. So it works, it's proven. And it's really cool. Another thing how you can use this is when you're reporting bugs and issues. I'm really happy when I get issue on GitHub and say, okay, here's the scenario that you can use to replicate the bug, the issue, and I just copy that into my feature files, run it, I get bug reproduced, and I just fix it, and until it's green, I'm pushing and I'm done. So it's kind of improved the workflow.